She sent a confession note to her crush, but the most arrogant guy in school got it instead. Now Yara is forced to live with the jerk, Gu-wook, after their schools merge. With a heart condition he's hiding, Gu-wook starts realizing his heart only races when Yora's around. Can this secret tension turn intense hatred into a shocking romance? So let's start with the recap. The story begins with Yora finding out that her school would soon merge with a Eumenian school, an idea she doesn't like at all, for 3 reasons that involve the 3 most popular guys at that school. The first is Yulseo, who is her brother. However, no one knows she has one, not even her best friend Raya. The second is Junjuni, her crush, but one she's trying to forget. And the third is Guk-wook, whom she doesn't want to see at all due to an incident that happened 1 week earlier. It turns out that she had gone to the Eumenian school to give a gift to Junjuni with a note in which she confessed her feelings. However, when she left the gift, she placed it in the wrong locker, and to her bad luck, she was discovered by the locker's owner, who was Guk-wook. Because of this, she ran off and left the note, which Guk-wook ended up reading and believing it was for him. The new school year starts, and to her misfortune, Yora runs into Guk-wook, who quickly recognizes her and, remembering her note, asks her not to like him, which leaves her very surprised. Later in the cafeteria, Yora ends up bumping into Guk-wook, but instead of helping her, he just walks right past, so Yora begins to hate him more. Later, we see Guk-wook at the hospital, and here we find out that he recently underwent heart surgery, which is why he quit the swimming club. The next morning, Junjuni and his best friend Yu-jung go to school together. On the way, they talk, and she comments that he and Yora would make a nice couple, but he replies that he already likes someone. Just then, a motorcycle speeds by, and Junjuni quickly pulls her toward him to protect her. The weekend arrives, and Yora goes up to her rooftop to exercise, but she is greatly surprised when she opens the door and finds Guk-wook there. Seeing her, he arrogantly tells her that he already knows she likes him, but asks her not to stalk him. An annoyed Yora clarifies that the note was not for him, but for Junjuni. After this, she asks him what he is doing there, to which he tells her that he was moving in. So Yora quickly calls her father, who tells her that Guk-wook was the son of his best friend and would be living in the house until his father returned. Minutes later, Yulseo arrives, and both he and Yora tell Guk-wook that they are siblings. The next day, in physical education class, Raya proposes a race to Yora. And since Yora is very competitive, she passes everyone, including Guk-wook. However, when he sees her, he starts running faster, and the race becomes very close, until Guk-wook falls, exhausted, which worries Yora. After being treated in the infirmary, Guk-wook meets Yu-jung, and here we find out that they used to be dating, but he broke up with her during the holidays. However, she still likes him, so she asks to get back together, and Guk-wook finally agrees. At that moment, Yora sees them together, but is interrupted by Junjuni, who takes her hand and asks her out. This leaves her speechless, so he asks her to think about it.
The next day, Gu-wook and Yu-jung go out to eat, but Gu-wook feels uncomfortable and has no appetite, which upsets Yu-jung, who leaves the place. Upon arriving home, Yu-jung runs into Junjuni, who, seeing her sad, asks what happened. She shows him the message Gu-wook sent, asking to end the relationship, and he comforts her. The next day, Gu-wook and Yu-jung talk in the auditorium, and he comments that many things had changed since his operation, such as his food tastes and hobbies. Hearing this, Yu-jung attributes his desire to end the relationship to his surgery. And in the classroom, Yu-jung comments to Yura that she heard rumors that Junjuni and she were dating, which Yura strongly denies. However, Junjuni arrives with snacks for her, causing the whole class to ship them and Gu-wook to become jealous. The next day, Gu-wook asks Yura if she likes Junjuni, but she asks him to stay out of her business. Hearing this, Gu-wook takes a photo to annoy her and says he will send it to Junjuni. So Yura reaches out to grab the phone, but they both slip and end up too close to each other. They quickly separate, very nervous, and Gu-wook leaves with the excuse of cooking, while Yura goes for a run to clear her mind, but she still cannot stop thinking about what happened. That night, Gu-wook, Yora, and Yotso have dinner together when Yotso asks his sister if she is dating Junjuni, to which she replies no. Hearing this, he asks her to give Junjuni a chance, which makes Gu-wook jealous, and as the days pass, we see him behave immaturely toward Yura, which starts to tire her. One day, the boys were changing clothes for physical education when an angry Yura enters and asks them to leave, as it was the girls' turn to change in the room. However, Gu-wook speaks for the others and says they won't leave. So, tired of his attitude, Yura decides to act like him and takes off her sweater. However, things start to escalate when Gu-wook takes off her shirt, and Yura is not to be outdone, so she quickly covers him with her sweater and makes all the men leave the room. This scene makes Yoo-jung jealous, so she advises Junjuni to date Yura. That night, Gu-wook, Yoo-jung, and Yura talk together to catch up on everything that's happened, and here is when she mentions that Yoo-jung has got back with Gu-wook. The next day, Yoo-jung talks to Yura and tells her that she got back with Gu-wook, and although this affects Yura a little, she replies that she thinks it's fine. Later, Gu-wook sees the doctor because his heart has been beating very fast lately. After running tests and seeing that everything was fine, the doctor asks him if he perhaps likes someone. Hearing this, Gu-wook glances at Yura, but finally answers no. Therefore, the doctor tells him that in that case, the symptoms are just side effects of the operation. It is dismissal time, and Ria asks Yura to go to karaoke, which Junjuni overhears. At the karaoke place, Yura goes out to buy something and sees Gu-wook and Yoo-jung are also there.
Seconds later, she goes to the counter, but Junjuni appears and offers to pay for her. Minutes later, they both talk, and Yer asks him to stop being so attentive to her because she doesn't like him. Junjuni replies that he doesn't like her either, and only asked her out because that's what Yoo-jung wanted. After apologizing to her, they remain friends, and he asks her to help him pretend to be a couple to make Yoo-jung jealous. Minutes later, Gu-wook and Yoo-jung arrive, so Junjuni and Yura interact as a couple. Then, Junjuni proposes a double date that Raya and Yoso join, so in the end, they all go on a group outing where they take photos and have a lot of fun. Later, each couple separates, and Junjuni tells Yura that he has been in love with Yoo-jung since they were little, but the day he was going to confess, she started dating Gu-wook. On the other hand, Gu-wook talks to Yoo-jung and asks to end the relationship because even though he tries, he no longer has feelings for her. He asks to remain friends, but this only makes Yoo-jung angry, and she leaves very sadly. Minutes later, Junjuni sees Yoo-jung crying and quickly goes to comfort her. Yura keeps walking until she runs into Gu-wook, who is about to say something when he sees their teacher, so he grabs her hand and they both run off. The race exhausts Gu-wook and his heart starts beating fast, so he ends up confessing to Yura that his heart only beats this way when he is with her, and that is driving him crazy. Hearing this, Yura recommends he go to the hospital, so he tells her that the doctor said it could be because he is in love and asks her to help him check. In the end, Yura agrees, and taking his face, she kisses him. Minutes later, they both talk about the kiss, but neither dares to confess their feelings, so they agree to act as if it hadn't happened. However, the next day, Yura meets Junjuni, who tells her that that morning he had confessed his feelings to Yoo-jung, and although she had not given him any answer, he felt good about having told her what he felt. In the end, he advises her to do the same and tell Gu-wook how she feels. On her way out, Yura remembers Junjuni's advice and returns to the classroom to talk to Gu-wook. There, she remembers that Gu-wook is still unclear about his feelings, so after confessing that she likes him, she asks that they remain friends. Days pass and the exam season arrives, during which we see Yura and Gu-wook studying together for several hours, until at one point they lie on the floor to rest, but Yura ends up lying on Gu-wook's arm, which makes her nervous and she decides to get up. However, Gu-wook leans so close to her that Yura closes her eyes, believing he is going to kiss her, but Gu-wook tells her that he was only trying to scare away a mosquito. Just then, Yoseo arrives, so Yura quickly gets up, but seeing that Gu-wook does not, he goes up to him and notices that he has a fever, so he is taken to the hospital. There, Yoseo finds out that Gu-wook had heart surgery and that he resigned from the swimming club because of it, which makes him feel bad, because when Gu-wook left the team, everyone branded him selfish for leaving since no one knew about his operation. After apologizing, Yoseo advises him to return to the team, so the next day, Gu-wook talks to the team leader to allow him to return, but Junjuni refuses this.
Later that afternoon, Junjunny tells Yoo Jung what happened, so she tells him about Gu Wook's operation, and hearing this, Junjunny feels terrible for having mistreated his friend. The next day, Gu Wook seeks out Junjunny and asks him to let him join the team, to which Junjunny replies that he already knows about his operation and that it would be risky for him to swim again. So Gu Wook proposes a competition and asks him to at least agree to that. In the end, Junjunny accepts, and they both start swimming. However, Gu Wook becomes unwell halfway through the race, so Junjunny takes him to the hospital and called Yoo Jung to tell her what happened. Once Gu Wook wakes up, he finds Yuseo and Yora by his side, as Yoo Jung had called them. Yora scolds Gu Wook for risking his health, and he takes her hand, but seconds later, she leaves the place and bursts into tears as she was truly very worried. Elsewhere in the hospital, Junjunny talks to Yoo Jung and tells her to go see Gu Wook, but he is greatly surprised when Yoo Jung reveals that she did not come for Gu Wook, but for him, because she thought it was him who was hurt and worried too much, which in turn made her realize that she also loved him. Hearing this, Junjunny can't help but smile happily, and approaching Yoo Jung, he kisses her. Days pass, and one night, Raya runs into Yuseo and Yora, thus discovering that they are siblings. As the days pass, Gu Wook's condition improves, and he returns to competing alongside his friends. The relationship between Junjunny and Yoo Jung progresses very well, and they are both happy, while Gu Wook and Yora's relation continues as friends. Until one night, he confesses that he is in love with her, thus beginning their relationship, ending the mini-drama.
If you liked it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other recap. Until next time!